Hi, my name is Asaf. I am the CTO of Wizzdi, the company behind FlexiCore. FlexiCore is the world-leading runtime plugin system for Spring Boot. In this video tutorial, we will create a plugin set. One is for the domain model definition, and the other plugin is for services, REST API, and data repository. I'm going to show how to create a simple people management plugin that allows creating, updating, and listing people. First, we will create the person model entity plugin, which will contain the schema definition for the person entity. I'm going to set up the Maven coordinates and use the FlexiCore model archetype to quickly set up the required dependencies. I'm going to create the person class, which will be the JPA annotated class defining the schema we will use. The person class will extend FlexiCore's base class, so data access can be enforced later on. I will also implement the constructor required to set the data access related properties. Updating the persistence XML file is required to generate JPA's metamodel. Metamodel is required for type-safe queries criteria API provides. I will now install the person model so I can use it as a dependency later on. Now, I will create the person service plugin that will contain the business logic we need to manage the person entity. I will set up the relevant Maven coordinates and select the FlexiCore service archetype to set up the required dependencies. I will add another dependency for Spring REST and the person model dependency that we have previously created. Notice that the dependencies are in the provided scope, as they are provided by FlexiCore at runtime. I will create the REST service class, which will contain the endpoints required to manage the person entity. I will add some annotations that are required by Spring, Swagger, and FlexiCore. The create person request will receive a person create object and will return the newly created person. Since I have added the protected REST annotation, I have to add the authentication key and the security context parameters. We will keep all our business logic inside the person service component. The out-to-wire annotation is used to inject other services from this plugin, FlexiCore services, and services from other plugins. Our createPerson service will first validate the request and only then it will create the person. Any invalid data provided by the client should cause a rejection at the validation phase. We will create the person service class and annotate it with the required annotations. We will continue adding logic to it later, but first let's create the person repository component. We will need two methods here, one for listing the people and the second to count them, so we can present a paginated response properly. To keep all filtering logic in a single location, we will create the person filter class, which will extend FlexiCore's filtering information holder class. The filtering information holder class provides common filtering to all entities extending FlexiCore's base class. We will implement the listing method in the same manner we would have implemented any JPA query, with the exception of executing it using FlexiCore's getAllFiltered method. The getAllFiltered method will return only the results which are permitted for the user in the given security context. The counting method will be the same, but we'll call the countAllFiltered method, which will count only the permitted person entities for the user in the given security context. Adding the predicates will be handled in a single location in a method called addPersonPredicates. For now, it will remain empty. We will now create the personCreate object that the client will send us. We will have it extend base class create and add the last name field which we will need to populate the person entity. Now I will create the personUpdate object which will be used when updating a person. To keep all logic in a single location, it will extend the personCreate object. Now, I will implement the validate method that will be called both when creating and updating a person. Since we would like to extend existing capabilities, we will call the matching validate method on base class new service. We will now implement the createPerson method, which will use a method called createPersonNoMerge and updatePersonNoMerge. The updatePersonNoMerge method will call updateBaseClassNoMerge provided by baseClassNewService. Now, I will create the updatePerson method, which will use the same logic as the createPerson method, but it will receive a person update object and will populate the relevant person entity into it before calling validate and then updatePerson. Now we will create the getAllPeople method, which will return all the people the user is permitted to list in a paginated manner. The request will receive a person filter, which filters the result set. The getAllPeople method logic will simply call the listAllPeople and the countAllPeople methods we have already created, encapsulating the result in a paginated response container. All is left is to package the person service plugin, place it in FlexiCore's plugin folder, and place the person model plugin in FlexiCore's entity folder. Swagger is used as an API testing interface, documentation, and also for the creation of client-side SDK in multiple programming languages. Now, I will try out the create, update, and list methods we have implemented. When we execute an API through Swagger, we need to verify that execution is successful. We may want to examine the response JSON. When running an API requiring a filter, like in getAllPeople service, fields are optional. However, the body must be at least an empty JSON object. We can take the ID value from the getAllPeople response and use it for updating one of the returned records. In the next video, we will explore FlexiCore's plugin dependencies capabilities, and we will create a library management plugin which will extend the people management plugin we have just implemented. Thank you for watching. For more information, please visit our site, Wizzdi.com. The code created in this code session will be available on Wizzdi's GitHub page.